Oh, did it get stuck? Welcome back, everybody, to the Roll the Bones podcast special live event. Hold on, there's a little bit of a feedback. Hold on. What? Can you? I think your thing's kicking back, so I can hear myself echo.
Me?
Somehow. I think I can hear myself echoing back somehow. Dude, is your laptop volume on?
Nope, it is not. I can just shut it. Did that help?
There's a weird echo. Do you hear it?
I do not hear it. Not on my end.
Huh. I don't know. But welcome, everybody. This is a live event. I'm excited to introduce my guest tonight. I'm with Chris, the founder of American Reich. This is going to be a great night tonight. It's an American first organization. You know, we live in troubled times, and it's very important that we put our country first and foremost. Sorry for the shaky beginning, but technical glitches happen, especially when you're trying to do good things in this world. Chris, it's an honor to have you here, my friend.
Thank you.
So, tell me a little bit about where you grew up, like how American Reich came to be a thing.
Well, excuse me. First, I just want to thank you personally, Chris. You have been a gentleman through this process and getting me warmed up for this podcast and in constant communication. And you and I have had a few conversations on the phone and over video, and I'm very honored to be here. And you have been just A+ from the start. So anybody out there that's maybe going on the Roll the Bones podcast, just know that Chris is the guy. And I really appreciate you extending your courtesy to me. I just wanted to throw that out there at the beginning.
And it was cool because my wife had and Brother Trev had introduced this to me kind of last minute, like, not, I wouldn't say last minute, but I think the both of them had been following your platform and organization for a little bit. And right now, first and foremost, it's very important. We live in very dark times, and I think the American Right community, I've gotten to talk to plenty of them. They're amazing people. They're some of the sweetest people I've talked to. They're normal everyday Americans that they're tired of the bullshit too.
Yeah.
So like to go back to my initial question, like, how did tell me a little bit about how you grew up, where you're from, and how the American Reich started.
All right. Well, I was born and raised in Los Angeles. I was born in 85. I was actually born, the state took me away from my biological mother due to her drug addiction. So I was adopted at 3 by the white picket fence, all American family. And I love the parents who raised me and adopted me. Those are my parents. My dad is a retired captain of the fire department. My mom was the PTA Mother of the Year. I have a sister. My sister and I had a great childhood. We had everything that one could dream of: vacations, the dog, the big backyard, the pool. Very Americanized. My father's father was a World War II veteran. He fought in the Philippines against the Japanese. And then growing up with a captain of the fire department, there was a lot of structure growing up. There was a lot of discipline growing up, which I'm grateful for. Seems like today our younger generation is a bunch of pussies, not all of them, but a lot of them. So I'm grateful I had a heavy hand, and by no means was I abused, but it was old school. You don't curse at the table. You tuck your shirt in. You're not late. So I was raised very much that way. Later in my adolescence, around 14, 15, I started dabbling with smoking weed like most kids do. And by the time I was 18, I was a full blown alcoholic, doing all the drugs under the sun. But alcohol was the one that really got me. From 18 through my 20s was hospitals, 10 different rehabs, in and out of sober livings, homelessness in downtown LA. Um, by the time I was about 30, I found myself homeless on the streets of Skid Row in Los Angeles, 114 pounds. I was the guy you crossed the street to get away with. Pretty much, I was. I pretty much had lost my mind by then, and ended up in a homeless shelter. And on September 7th, 2016, I was laying in a homeless shelter, and I was like, There was a guy puking in a bucket a few bunks over from me. All the showers and toilets are open like county jail. And I was so sick, and I made a decision. I was like, I'm either gonna die out here or I'm gonna really get sober. And I haven't had a drink since. I don't do drugs anymore. I've been sober almost 10 years this September. And
Congratulations.
thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Um, to fast forward a little bit, I met my wife about 9 years ago, and the pretty early stages of my sobriety. We started dating, haven't looked back since. We had a daughter about 4 years ago. Well, she's 4.5, so 4.5 years ago, we had our daughter. And that's when my journey to politics actually began, was, as you know, seeing seeing what was starting to develop in our school systems and the overreach of government and the transsexual gay communities ideology being pushed on the kids. Now, I want to clarify, if you're an adult, you do whatever you want. I don't care. But the kids is a different story. So me as a 30 at the time 37-year-old man with a little girl I have to protect and raise, I'm seeing this on media and the TV and on my cell phone,
Yep.
and I'm getting really scared. So, and then shortly after that, um Trump, the whole Trump campaign happened, and I'm getting scared, also living in my country with a lot of foreign immigration and seeing the innocent people getting murdered. And my wife and I actually moved out of LA because it was getting so bad. And we're like, this is no place to raise a child. So it was in front of my eyes, evident that it's getting bad. So we moved. Um, Fast forward a little bit. I don't want to take up too much time telling the whole story, but to the American Reich part. So I voted for Trump like so many of us did, and regretted it pretty shortly after, when I saw that America First sentiment and movement and idea turned into Israel First. And that's really where the American Reich kind of was birthed in my mind. So Charlie Kirk was murdered. Um, I saw him speaking openly and plainly about maybe involvement with Israel isn't such a good idea. Maybe there's a stand down order on October 7th. That seems kind of weird for one of the most powerful and unpenetrable militaries besides our own. It just wasn't adding up. Charlie was murdered the next day, and few days following after, all these legislations and policies were being passed on Israel's behalf. Now Netanyahu's Trump's best friend, and there's Israel flags flying behind all of his speeches and meetings. It just didn't make sense. My intuition said this is wrong. So like a lot of us did, I went down the rabbit hole, started learning, where the Reich came from, the Second Reich, the Third Reich, just all the history that we have been taught over the years that is not factual. And due to the information at our fingertips now and stuff coming to light, and it's harder for media to censor what we reach, I started seeing the truth about who we are as a nation and what we've become and who really is pulling the strings. Um, a buddy of mine named Jesse, he has a podcast too, Jesse's Daily Rant. Him and I clicked up pretty quick and had the same ideas. And he started this little chat on Instagram called Anti APAC America First. And I was just thinking, like, I want to gather like minded people like us, but there has to be something more powerful. And I saw a lot of people talking about the Fourth Reich is coming. America knows the truth. The Fourth Reich is coming. And I'm seeing America First. And it kind of lost its power. Now, I'm all about America First. Hear me out. The actual saying America First and what it stands for, I stand behind it 100%. But it started to become more of a brand than an ideology. So I'm like, what's going to really hit home? And I messaged two people, Jesse being one of them. And I said, man, I have an idea. What does the American Reich sound like to you? This is what it means to me. And they're like, man, I think that's a great idea. So I literally went to the mall, my local mall, bought a black hat, met the guy at the kiosk and said, hey, I want you to embroider me this. And I showed him a picture on my phone, American Reich. He did. The next day, I did a reel on Instagram, and I was not expecting the reaction I got. When are we meeting? Where do I get a hat? when's the next get together? When are we going to show up in DC? And this group of 2 to 3 turned into 30 to 40, turned into 300 to 400, turned into thousands. And I just felt a responsibility to, hey, I feel like it is not only my responsibility, but I honestly feel like I was fucking made and born, and everything in my life that has led me up to this point. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's how the American Reich was born.
It's pretty cool, man. Like, because I think like you were saying about Charlie Kirk, I think that was a turning point for a lot of people. No pun intended in that, but
Mhm.
the I voted for Trump, all 3 times he had run. And the second Charlie died, the bizarre mishandling of the investigation, seeing Netanyahu quote, like, tweeting about it, up on X, like not even moments, Charlie hadn't even hit the ground yet. They just a rush job, and then suddenly there's a construction site. Like, if it was any one of us that got smoked, they'd be investigating. It'd be a crime scene for 2-3 days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not just 0 to we're gonna renovate the entire place. It was just a lot of weird stuff, and then um
The bullet
the Epstein,
wound, all that.
yeah, and I,
It just doesn't
and
add up. Doesn't add up.
and
Math isn't mathing.
we exactly. But then, the guy that we were talking to backstage, Sergeant Bowden, like he was a Ranger sniper. So like, and he broke down that the long range shot and everything that was wrong with it. And it's just like, but beyond that, um, the bizarre memorial service that was put up for him, but then with the Epstein stuff, and then to see like all right, we have all these demonic people like Bill Gates and all this stuff, and then they're suddenly hanging out at the White House. There's sudden, Trump pulling out Netanyahu's chair, and yeah, people can think that's ridiculous, but the thing is that you know all we're doing is supplying and fighting their wars. We're funding Ukraine's battles. We're funding, this whole thing in Iran. Now, yeah, I agree. Like the Ayatollah, you can pluck out a negative bastard, but beyond that, we've done our part. You know what I mean? We cannot keep sacrificing our people for others' problems.
I think, just to be blunt, I think the move in Iran is to build more for Israel. It's a plan to expand in the Middle East for Israel. I mean,
You're probably right.
if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But all the evidence and history tends to repeat itself, and it just really looks like this is a move to expand Israel's reach in the Middle East. I mean, that's my personal take on it. Just my opinion.
So when people first like they come across the American Reich and they reach out to you, what is usually what is the kind of like the mindset of somebody that's just kind of had enough of like the left and right? What do you see? How do they approach you? Like, I'm just tired of it, or what are they trying to learn when they come to you like off the street first?
Well, at the very beginning, because I easily understand how the word right can be misinterpreted as a neo-Nazi knockoff movement, another white nationalist, white supremacist movement, because Reich is most commonly associated with the Third Reich of Germany, right? Even
Mhm.
though textbook definition Reich means empire, kingdom, realm, or nation. So at first, the first, I'd say 3 weeks to month was I was getting a lot of white supremacist dudes that were like, "Yeah, I'm behind you," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." Um, I don't think anybody of any color should be ashamed of who they are and where they came from. White, black, Mexican, Asian, doesn't matter. I don't think there should be any guilt behind what race you were born, because you didn't have a choice in the first place. That's just how you were born. So, as I was speaking more about my ideology and my vision of the American Reich, um, that we do not discriminate against race. That basically, my zone commander, Brent, actually said this, and it was brilliant. He said, no, man, we're all races, right? We're like the American race. And I said, exactly. That's what it is. It doesn't matter if what color you are. So once I started talking more about we're a non-segregated, non-hate, all Americans unite front against the corrupted government, against the Zionist regime, that's really when the floodgates opened and I started getting a lot more positive. Yeah, and then we have people, members and followers, not just on Instagram, like followers of the movement and the ideology that are all different colors, which is that's what I wanted in the very beginning because first of all, it's 2026. And if we're going to make a stand against the corruption and demonic entity, as you said so plainly, of our government and the powers that be, one race by itself is not going to be able to do it. We all need to unite. If we're going to be powerful enough for them to say, oh shit, who are they? What is that? It's going to take all of us Americans. Um, so yeah, I was getting Nazis, and then I started getting I now what I'm getting is, man, I'm with you. And a guy said a perfect quote. He said, thanks, Christopher, you're making Americans feel American again. I even printed it on a fucking t-shirt because I liked it so much. But and we sell it on stickers and shit. That's besides the point, but that's what it is I have this vision of the American Reich is a fish tank within a fish tank. So we have the fish tank that is America, run by our politicians and run by the powers that be, and then we have this community called the American Reich that is our own separate entity living within that fish tank. And I don't necessarily want to say make our own rules, but we're our own community. And
Yeah.
as we grow, I would like to start to develop our own ways of sustaining life, maybe some sort of banking system, maybe some sort of media outlet, maybe some sort of opening our own stores and collecting our own food, growing our own food. I mean, the possibilities are endless, and I know that's a while out, but that's my big vision, is to be able to sustain a community within our nation that is run by satanic pedophiles and the Zionist regime, plain to be
Well,
plain
I
with
mean,
you.
you're not wrong. You know, and I'm glad you had brought up that stuff because, so me and my wife, yeah, about the, being able to raise, like, bring in your own food and stuff like that. Now, because of the cost of living and the skyrocketing prices, me and my wife have gotten into homesteading. Because I mean, you just can't, like you do it. Why it would cost me 200, maybe 300 for the year to feed all the chickens and stuff like that. And I'm getting like 30 eggs a day, you know, why am I going to go out and spend, $12 on a dozen eggs that were processed through all this, vile companies and God knows what they're doing to them. It's you see a lot of this in some of the southern states where people are trying to do. Remember, off-grid living was like a big thing for a while.
Mhm.
People would just buy a lot of land. They were trying to do solar stuff, things like that, and then the government would shut them down. They
Yep.
would zoning and see it now. That's kind of the government overreach right there. Like, so they bought their land, and you're still telling them what they can and can't do on it. Like, it's they even in my area, like the local government tries to step in and be like, you can't have any of these. Like, for what reason? Why can I not have chickens? Why can I not have a garden this big? You see, like, and that might be just a simplistic, a tiny little fraction of it. We see this, um, the widespread, the stuff, even with the riots. A friend of this platform, JD Delay, he had been documenting Portland, Oregon,
Mhm.
in their rampage, the Antifa and liberal rampage that went through there all of last year. Um, and yet they the government makes it seem like they're it's their free speech. But if me and you were to go out and have a peaceful conversation like this, we're terrorists in their eyes. You know what I mean? Like, this is the hypocrisy that I think everybody is just so tired of. Like, obviously, I don't want to hold up and just keep harping on it because I want to hear your opinions on what the hypocrisy you see that bothers you the most. But January 6th, we've heard that for so long. The crocodile tears, oh, it was a death of democracy. But if you remember in 2017, during Trump's inauguration, they had the National Guard deployed because they were trying to disrupt the inauguration event. but no, and they were holding up, fake severed heads and calling for the. That was the first time in my lifetime that I've seen somebody calling for the death of a city, like, a president. You know what I mean? In
Yeah.
our country, that it was the wildest stuff. But they don't hold them accountable. But then a parent speaks out because they, at a school PTA meeting, they don't want their kids being taught pedophile books or in kindergarten or just in general, and they're put on an FBI watch list. So, like, what are some of the things that you've noticed the most?
Or a Marine says, "We don't want to die for Israel," and gets dragged out of the room by
Yes.
force with a broken arm. Like that? Is that what
Yep.
you're talking about?
Well, that's a good example right there. Um, you know, um, even
What I
that,
don't
like,
what I
no,
don't
go ahead.
like what I don't like, and you just said it, is, and you see it on social media all the time, is we could say pretty much a lot of hateful things, and we can criticize Trump as much as we want. We can criticize our own country as much as we want. Not the second, but very quickly, your entire social media platform will be taken away from you if you speak too much on Israel. Now, why is that?
Hmm.
Why is
It,
that?
it's because they control. Listen, it's like the thing is I remember seeing there was I think it was Tim Pool had said it. Yeah, he read the quote: "Whoever controls the information has already won the war."
Yep,
And it's like, you see that it's not, Trump is just a pawn in this system. It's
agreed.
all, we're actually all controlled by big tech, big pharma, and everybody in all these shadow elements, they all got stake in it. You know what I mean? And the lobbyists control the narrative, APAC controls the narrative, whoever, you know I mean, you can, if you ever, there was a book I read by Peter Schweitzer called Red Handed. They talked about even Nancy Pelosi back in the 90s took a very hard stand against China with the regulations against them. She went to one little meeting, and now suddenly it's, she came back with the narrative changed. So everybody, all these people in our government can be bought and paid for instantly, or blackmailed, you
Yeah,
know. But Israel's has a long track record of running blackmail operations with, Jeffrey Epstein's just one grain of sand on that beach. But go
yeah.
if you want to continue on with what you were talking about. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, no, not at all, not at all. Actually, kind of lost my train of thought, so I'm glad you jumped in when you did.
Uh,
That was just one example. Is, like I said, the Instagram example, and uh, the Marine that just spoke out, and you guys have all seen the videos where they drag him out, and if you're going against their narrative, or if you're throwing a wrench in the spokes of their plan, they shut it down very quickly, and it 9 times out of 10, especially recently in the last 2 years, it's about Israel. And it just really, I know why. I was kind of being facetious when I said, "Tell me why." It's like, I know why, but it just shows, and exactly what you said, whoever controls the information is in control. And it's not us. And that's really what a part of the American Reich is really about, is America for American citizens, without the influence of foreign policy, without the influence of foreign lobbyists, without foreign money dictating our rights and our next moves and our way of living as Americans. This is an American nation built by Americans, and the immigrants who came here and help build this beautiful country of ours.
mhm.
And it just makes me really sad to see that we're losing control of our own people, of our own decision making, and the censorship and our First Amendment rights slowly being taken away. If I can't say what I want to say because it goes against the narrative, then technically then I don't have my First Amendment. I should be able to say whatever I want.
Yeah.
And as you know, they're making you and oh, this is what I wanted to say. Remember I said I lost my train of thought? Well, it just came back
Yeah.
to me. You and I could sit on the street corner and say, fuck Trump and fuck this and fuck that, and he's a piece of shit, and burn the tan monster and all this, and nothing's gonna happen to us. But if we start saying that stuff about Israel, or say, hey, Israel's so bad. There's literally over the last 2 years have been murdering innocent women and children. It's all over your phone. Maybe we shouldn't support them. Maybe we should stop buying shit that we have over here that is supplied by them. We could go to jail.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, look at is it? I think it's the UK already has that implemented. People get like social media outlet, influencers getting arrested for speaking ill on,
Yeah.
against the government or the. I just like the new world order because that's really what it is, and
Yep.
it's the thing is that I've been ripping into a lot of the dark the histories behind how these blackmail operations have been working, and it's like,
Hmm.
and you think of all the conspiracy theorists and that I know we're groomed to call them theorists. They were all preaching the truth this entire time.
Yeah.
And I mean, but I do question the one guy I question. I know it's kind of a little bit off topic, but it's still on point. Is like, who's a psyop and who's not? Like, is Alex Jones like somebody that's telling the truth, or is he like a psyop, like controlling us, putting out what we need to, or we're following the wrong paths? You know what I mean? Because why would everybody else that did it, like look at everybody around the Clintons, they're all dead. You know what I mean? It's like when you have a long track record of powerful players turning up dead for speaking out, it makes you wonder, why is he still out there, still allowed to say all this crazy shit if he's on track? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the answer to that, or I don't
Yeah.
know the full side of the truth. I don't think any of us will ever, but I definitely can relate to what you're saying, and I understand exactly where you're coming from. And it's hard to differentiate who's being authentic and genuine and who may be having a ulterior motive or hidden agenda. Even though they're saying the things that we want to hear, we're like, yeah, 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 but it's hard to differentiate who's being authentic and who's really about it and who's not, who's bullshitting us.
No, I agree. And I mean, and that's why, even like, as we talked
I,
before, like, you're my first politician. You know what I mean? So that's why it's important.
well, so my chief advisor, William, used to be do campaign management for Trump. And
Mm.
ever since a lot of what we just talked about, Trump is obviously Israel first, not America first. He left that job and he is my chief advisor. And him and I are right now, it's a lot of brainstorming and it's mostly talk right now because there's so much happening with American Reich. It's hard to even keep up. But that a local community position that I could step into to get more into politics so I can learn more and understand more, because I always have room to grow. Like they always say, there's one house, or there's one room in your house that's never finished, and that's the room for change or room for growth. So I want to
Mhm.
learn more on that angle, and I do know that that getting my foot in that door could expand the American Reich and the ideology behind it even more. So I would more consider myself like a political activist or a civil movement leader or a revolutionary. That's what I'd spend a lot of my free time when it's just me at night. My wife's asleep, my daughter's asleep. Is I study civil movements. I study revolutionary wars of our past. I study revolutionaries. Like that's what I do, and I really try to find out what worked, what didn't work, and I pick up on common themes and what could we implement. And I love this shit. Like I said, I feel I was born to do this, but I really want to. I don't want this to tank like every other major civil movement. And I'll say this because I know you're about to ask me another question, but it's very important. And I want to hit on this. Is I found three common factors in most, I'd say 90% of all movements that are civil driven. And there was always a race factor. Most of the time, there was some symbology that is tied to hate, even though they may not show it as a hateful symbol. It's tied back to some kind of hate. And third is they all failed. So a part of the American Reich is, let's not use symbology that could be misconstrued as hate. And let's not make this a race thing. I don't know. correct me if I'm wrong and tell me if you know of one, but as of yet, I don't know any major civil movement that has made a loud enough noise to get people's attention that didn't have some sort of race element or some sort of symbology that was directed to our past that can be misconstrued as hate. So those are two major things about the American Reich that I've implemented. There's one race, like Brent said, the American race, and we don't need to use symbology that may be misconstrued as hate. There's no need for it. We can create our own.
No, I agree. Like I agree with that 100%. And the thing is I think the powers that be use race against us because it's easy.
Hmm.
And with people's ignorance, like people need to learn and learn it quickly that this is not a race war that we're in. This is a class system. And the
Yep.
powers that be are every time that they act out like, there's a riot or there's this and that, they're laughing because they know our ignorance and society's ignorance, um, they think it's just like, oh yeah, everything's black and white. You know what I mean? It's no, they're making money off of your craziness. You know what I mean? Eventually they're going to seize control. And right now, I think what's concerning in this for all of us is that they've spent 13 years strong, ripping the fabric slowly and fanning the flames of division to the point that I
Hmm.
don't know if like we can calmly have that conversation anymore. And that's scary to me. But what
Yeah.
happens is, and that this is what they've been banking on. And um the second that there's, as Tribe had framed it before, there'd be a flashpoint, and that's when the government's going to step in and martial law takes over, and now they've won. So it's like people need to realize it's all about money. It's not about race. They're just using that to get us excited to, it's too simple. You know what I mean? Follow the money. That's why then you'll see where this all comes from. Um, but like it's cool that that's what I like when you're saying it, and especially I does like you would touch on it with Reich before, but how much backlash has the have you faced by stepping in not only the political circuit because a lot of us catch some bullshit, but
Yeah.
the do you feel like it's been more uplifting or has it been like kind of a balance or
I feel like at the very beginning it was rough. Now I feel like it's way more uplifting. And I've told personal in my personal circle, even like my father, he even questions, I don't know about the Reich thing and doesn't feel like it may be a good idea. And nothing's going to stop this train where it's too late. This is happening. But to answer your question is get more love. So like I was saying, if I was getting 80% hate, 20% love, I don't know if I could emotionally and mentally take it. If every so when I look at messages or emails or missed calls or other conversations that members have had with other people, if 80% of it was negative, I would probably be like, maybe this is a bad fucking idea. But it's the opposite. It's 80% positive. Man, you're giving me hope again. Man, I stand with you. Man, I love what you're doing. I feel like there was nothing to look forward to. Now I feel like there's something to look forward to since the American Reich is here, like all this love. People send me fucking gifts and shit. There's people out there right now, and you may have seen it on my Instagram or something. They believe in this. They love this. They're tattooing it on their hands, on their chest. Bryce, a original member, has it right on the side of his neck. Like they're not fucking around. This is like
yeah.
we are in this shit, and I love them for that. Um, so yeah, I feel like it's way more love than negativity. And to be honest with you, the most negative shit I get is the uneducated. You guys are Nazis. No, the fuck we're not. It gets kind of daunting and like redundant. I'm like, okay. Or the funniest one is my ears. That's what I get. No one's gonna take you seriously with those big ass gauges. Take them out. Take them out. My answer is always the same: is watch me. Like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take them out because you don't like them. I don't like a lot of shit, but I'm not gonna criticize everyone who does something that I don't like. So yeah, but I get way more love. And I want to tell you a quick story, and then I'm ready for your next question. So I walked through a protest, an ICE protest. I was wearing a suit. I had my American Reich hat on, and all I did was film myself just walk through it. A couple people said something to me, not even really negative, just like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Hey man, nothing negative. I didn't not one negative comment, just a walk through the protest." And then like 2 weeks later, my wife actually sent me, she's like, "Look on Reddit, and there's a picture of me with my fucking hat on, smiling with my phone, and the title of it is Nazi in San Luis Obispo, and all this, he's gonna get what's coming to him, and fuck around and find out, and all the bullshit." So we have a basically we have a Facebook. It's called Vanguard. Imagine Facebook, but only for American Reich. Like we have our own platform for discussion, for videos. It's our own Facebook called Vanguard. It's
Mhm.
all for American Reich. So I told everybody, I said, "Hey guys, what do you think about this? Here's the link to the Reddit." And hundreds of people went on there, not even crazy, just like, "He's not a Nazi. He's actually done this. Like, he's a good dude. We're a positive movement. We're uniting Americans. Like, we are creating a force for good." And you know what Reddit did? Erased all of that, all of it. And then I personally messaged the person who posted that on Reddit, and I said, "Why did you delete all the comments that went against your narrative?" And then you know what my response back was? "You've been blocked permanently from Reddit." That was my response.
I did stir up some ruckus on Reddit. This has nothing. I mean, it's a fun little story, but I realized because liberals cannibalize each other. Like and the thing, so I figured, you know what, I got tired of their bullshit. So I did have some fun. I went on Reddit and there was somebody it was a feminist group, and it was a trans. I don't know which way to say it, but it was a guy, you know, and he was up there talking. So I went in there pretending to be a lesbian. I was like, "Why are we taking shit from this guy?" And I just watched them go to war with each other. So I've been banned on Reddit a few times for causing some ruckus, but sometimes like a little bit giving them a little bit of their own anarchy is a little bit fun. But um, it is interesting though, like because they're like you were talking about, you're getting a lot of love, and
Yeah.
so you know, we had talked about it earlier. I've gotten death threats for interview because I'm friends with Anthony Arlotta. He's like one of my best friends.
Hmm.
You know, guy's like a dad to me. Like, so because he was in the mob, I'll get death threats from mob fanboys. Like, I'll get death threats from because I'm friends with the Alaskan Avenger. Um, and but I figured Gypsy Crusader, when I sat with him, that would have caused me so much havoc, and not a surprisingly not a word.
Yeah.
Like, and that kind of blew me away. And I think because that would be one of the ones I would consider the first, I guess, political um motivated story I've covered. But there is a shift that's happening right now, and we are tired, like Americans are just tired of living under extremist, you know, fringe maniacs that, you know, they can't pick their revolution. Like every day is a different thing, even the no kings. And then they're like, it's no kings for a month. And then we're going to cry over Maduro, who's a drug trafficking piece of shit. It doesn't, none of it makes sense anymore. But
What flag are you gonna put in your bio this week?
I know, like I posted it to my story earlier. It was just somebody kind of moving back and forth, like, you know, liberals trying to decide what's the revolution of the day. And but they've covered so many of this insanity, but even just since 2020. I mean, now it's just they're accelerating their revolutions at rapid pace. Um,
Yeah.
and the thing is the one thing that I do feel bad about is a lot of them were conditioned. They all suffer. A lot of them suffer with severe mental illness. Um, and it's kind of like I know I've had a few friends of mine that went down the conspiracy rabbit hole to the point that it started affecting them emotionally, and I feel like that's kind of the place that these individuals are in, or like they'll groom people on the spectrum. You scare them enough into like, oh yeah, they're coming for you, and they don't even understand what they're yelling about. And and mainstream media does a great job at fanning that fire. That's why it's very important. Like I think it's been well documented at this point that we are the next era of journalism because nobody wants to listen to Fox or CNN that are both controlled by an Israeli company. But um, I
I
don't know.
agree with you 100%.
Like
And
it's
and
go ahead.
like I said before, I was gonna say sorry to cut you off, but I'm not.
Hmm.
I just did it. I'm sorry. We are the journalists, exactly like you said. Before it was, radio and newspapers and then the TV, but it was very censored. And there was a certain group of people that owned and still does own most of the media that is pushed onto us. So now, when you have random people from all over the world with 15 to minute or two long clips on their cell phones of an event that just is, and then everybody could see it, it's hard to um not it's hard to not accept it for what it is. Like, okay, like that's not some fucking dude in front of a camera and it says NBC channel 4 and he's talking about some story. That's just some dude at the grocery store, and I'm seeing 10 videos that are very similar. Like, this isn't a media push. This is
Right.
Americans or human beings out in the world just documenting real-time events. So it's been very hard for the powers that be to censor what's going on. And then I'm going to go on a little tangent, but then it's no
Go for
accident
it.
that a Zionist just bought TikTok, and that who owns Meta is Zionist. And then
Yeah,
you get where I'm going with
it's
that.
a slippery slope. It makes me put my tiny hat and tinfoil on. Like it's always bought and paid for.
Yeah.
Everything is controlled. What we're fed both through the food industry to all of it. It's all poison. And even like and I know it's like it's a small example, but look at the fiery hot Cheetos. Now they're pushing them out. They have no red dye. It
Yeah.
tastes the same, but it's like it's complete trash anyways. But so why was this toxic chemical allowed in the first place? You know what I mean? And we grew up because me and you are the same about a year apart. We're the same age.
Mhm.
When we were in the 90s, everything was unnatural chemical colors, bright. Like we grew up in an entire era where we were being pumped with poison.
Yeah.
Um,
Eating trick
but
cereal and cuckoo
oh my
crisps and
god,
shit like
like
that.
it was made from like I think some of the candies were made from recycled tires and
Don't doubt it.
and like it was I remember they had do you remember Surge, that soda?
Oh yeah, yeah,
It was
yeah,
like enough
yeah, yeah,
caffeine to kill like 40 people, like, but they
yeah,
were like it was a kid's drink. Um
yeah.
I'm that's why I think I have sleeping problems. I drank like a 12 pack of it when I was like 9 and now here I am. But um it but I did like, and it kind of goes back a little bit to what you had said of like, we need to take this into our communities. And this is what a big part of our platform is Roll the Bones we've been trying to push our community first initiative for a while because even
Mhm.
Jason, the Alaskan Avenger, always says that real change starts in your communities. We can't just always hit the top. Um,
Exactly.
and I feel like everybody's so angry and there's the left, there's the right, and then there's the people of common sense, and there's more people coming towards where we are.
Yes.
Um, but I feel like what do you call it? If we just allow people to just get mad at each other for 2 seconds, let them scream it out, you know what I mean? And then they'll realize, and when they calm down, they'll realize it's like how nonsensical all this bullshit is and all this fighting. And that's where it's important that we stand in the middle to catch them. You know what I mean? And
It's scary too because a lot of people don't have common sense or get so emotionally charged or don't know how to regulate their nervous system or just take a deep breath and respect each other as human beings that they're killing each other over this shit. Killing
that's
each other over not wearing a COVID mask. Killing each other over because someone has a Make America Great hat on and someone has blue hair with a septum ring and whatever. Like they're so yes, I agree with you. A yelling match and some heated discussion is, I think, appropriate. But the sad truth is the way it is right now is a lot of people don't stop there and it's scary.
So, all right. So obviously some of the major issues that, we have in the country, it's like as American Reich moves forward, how would you um kind of we need to rebuild our infrastructure, and some of the critical institutions within that. Like, we'll start with veteran affairs. Like, how would you start there? Because I know a lot of both my community and this community, like yours as well, like there is made up of a lot of veterans. Like, how would you start with the veterans, like to take care of them?
I think the veterans honestly should be, if not in the top three, if not number one, at least in the top three of most important civilians that we need to take care of, not only in our communities, but this country. I worked with the homeless population for a long time, and I'll tell you a quick story. Uh, I was working with a guy that a coworker introduced me to, and she said I was the drug and alcohol specialist at this homeless center, and she said, "We need to get him housed. Housing first model. Get him off the street, get him housed." I said, "He's an alcoholic. He's going to kill himself if he gets housed. He's going to drink himself to death. He needs serious help." Nope. The county and the state say housing first. They don't care if he's an alcoholic. Sure enough, I think it was maybe 2 weeks later, she calls me in the office. "Guess what happened to, I want to protect this anonymity, but guess what happened to so and so?" And I knew it. I said, "What happened?" She said, "He died in his new apartment that we housed him in, drank himself to death." So I say that to say the veterans need special care. Um, the trauma that they come back with, the being maladjusted to society, because they're gone 2, 4, 8, 10 years at a time. Of course, they come home and have visits and everything, but if you're gone from the normal workings of society for a long period of time and then get thrown into it with no love or no support or no rehabilitation or no kind of guidance, what the fuck do you think is
Mhm.
going to happen to them? They self-medicate, they end up homeless, they lose marriages, they end up on the street, and we don't do shit to help them. And I'm just making up numbers. The $100 paycheck I get, the government takes 30% of it,
Yeah.
and most of it goes to Israel and is giving their army healthcare. But then I go to the grocery store to get a pack of eggs for fucking $30, and there's a homeless vet sitting there with nowhere to go with a sign that says, "Please help me, I'm hungry." The fuck is wrong with that?
Well,
So,
remember California, like they shut down, they locked the vets out at one point, didn't they? Well, that was, or was it? I'm pretty sure it was California. Newsom had they had locked them out. Like they remember seeing it on the news. It was like, out of one of the VA clinics, there was like 60, 70 guys just like camped out, some of them in wheelchairs, like non-era vets, Desert Storm, and they wouldn't let them into the VA.
to be honest with you, I don't know, and I don't want to
I'll
pretend
get you the
something
information
that I
on
don't.
that one
No,
later.
I don't want
But
to speak on. I don't want to speak on something I don't know because I'd rather
sure, no,
just
no, I
say
respect
I
that.
don't know. But I do not doubt it. And if you want to tie Gavin to that, of course, I don't doubt
Well,
it for a
Gavin's a
fucking
devil,
second.
dude.
I don't doubt
Like,
it for a fucking second that happened to
oh
him.
my
If
god,
you
that guy he's evil, dude.
if you told me
And
that if you told me there were 6,000 vets that got kicked out and were all in a camp out in a parking lot with no food and nowhere to go and no one gave a fuck about them, I wouldn't doubt you. And it makes me very sad. Very sad.
um, yeah, with that stuff, you know what, and that's what at pinned at the. I just want to throw this out there, pinned at the top of the chat. A dear friend of mine, Officer Keith Shibley, was first on scene at the DC Naval Yard. He turned us on to this. It's a frontline healing foundation.
Oh yeah.
They take care of active veterans or active military veterans, first responders. They're a rising 501c. So take a look at them. They do a lot of good work. But yeah, but moving forward, like our veterans for sure. Like a
Yeah.
dear friend of the guy who the man who Sergeant Cody Bowden gave us a prayer right before we came on. The
Mhm.
the VA and a lot of the veteran organizations have failed him completely. We have we put together he contracted hepatitis from a deployment, and he's been just brutalized by it, and but he keeps his spirits like high like all the time. He's always there for everybody. So we had put together a GoFundMe to try to like raise money while he waits for a donor, because obviously it comes with a significant cost. And that's just one of many. You know what I mean?
If, and I'm speaking in like an analogy or a made up scenario, but
Yeah.
if there was if there was 30 people that were coming to shut down the American Reich by any means necessary, and 10 to 20 American Reich members or followers or people that believe in this movement went and fought them off and then came back to the American Reich and American Reich was still standing, they get the highest level of respect and fucking treatment, not the lowest. Do you understand where I'm kind of going with that? If you go
Yeah.
fight, if you go fight and spend your time for this country and put your life on the line and your leave your family behind like a lot of these men and women do, when you come back here, you should be like I think it's the Academy Awards are tonight, but who the fucking Academy Awards should be for is you is
Oh,
them
100%. What's the
is
Academy
them.
Awards for? So a bunch of pedophile pieces of shit awarding each other. And congratulations, Ellen. You ate 7 more kids today. She's a scumbag, demonic piece of crap. Like, so they yeah, like, well, everybody knows, at least over here, we burn them at the stake. But the thing is they veterans should absolutely be the top, like, be I would go with, like, like our children first, that, and the ones that stand against evil, like the vets. We
Yeah,
have to, like, you know, um, but
I have a lot of vets too in American Reich. My Zone Commander 2, he's in charge of a big chunk of the American Reich side of our country. I don't remember the exact states. He was in Idaho, but he's a vet. There's lots of vets. And if you're not, and if I, a lot of the people, if they're not directly a vet, they have worked as a civilian for that, for in the capacity of the military in some capacity. Like I I want to take 2 seconds because I really have to on this. Is my chief of staff, Rick, did computer programming. Forgive me, Rick, if I don't get this exactly right, but he spent a lot of hours and a lot of time for working on programs for our government, like very intricate, top secret, crazy Snowden hacker type shit. So he spent a lot of his life providing for his family, doing stuff for our government, for our soldiers, for our veterans, right?
Mhm.
And American Reich is a team. Rick is my chief of staff, and I couldn't do this without my team. Rick, again, my chief of staff, great guy. Couldn't be where we are without him. And I have Wick, Wick, my national security director, who has unlocked a whole new world of people I would have never been able to reach to
Yeah.
draw in American Reich. And I have William, my um, chief advisor. And I have to give a huge shout out. I'm not going to say her name because she really wants to stay anonymous because she has so many clients that she serves, and American Reich is a little bit still a little, it could go either way very quickly. But the lady who is a family member of mine who runs the whole warehouse for all the merchandise, none of us would be where we are without her, because you can't fund a organization with $0, right? So we're fully self-supporting with our own contributions. We don't take any kind of donations, and that lady has is probably one of the biggest springboards that has made us what we are today. So I really wanted to give a shout out to her. I know she's watching, but it takes a family and it takes a team, and
Yeah.
I couldn't do it without them. All I am is a voice that the American Reich has entrusted to carry the ideology, to carry the message. I'm not the American. Chris Galien, the founder of American Reich, isn't the American Reich. It's all the people that are American Reich. They just trusted me, God bless them, to speak the message and be the face. I'm just the magazine cover. All the shit is all them inside. All the good stuff is all them. I'm just on the cover. I just grab your attention.
But you know what? In I see a lot of similarities amongst, this community, your community. And I can tell you, I can promise you, based off of what I'm seeing here, um, the American Reich just got bigger. Like, and the how, how important is it? Like, what is it? What do you take from when you stand up for the broken? When you speak forward, because it takes a lot of guts to be able to audit some of the scum of this earth. You know what I'm saying? And stand there like, um, does it bring you peace in your life, like being able to stand for somebody else like that? You know what I mean? Because I know I take that, like, some of the best moments I've had since I started, since Roll the Bones came apart, out there, is the it's not about, necessarily the live conversations or the interviews, and that's not, it's the conversations I have in the DMs, like where somebody's just
Mhm.
going through shit and they're just looking for help. They just want advice, or they just want someone to talk to for 5 minutes. That's what means the world to me. So how does that affect you? Like, do you walk out of it feeling like, fulfilled, or do you feel, does some of it ever haunt you? Because people have some dark stories and they're just looking for
Yeah,
someone to talk to sometimes. But
yeah. Um, so at the beginning of this podcast, I mentioned to you that I was an alcoholic for a lot of years, and I
Mhm.
hurt a lot of people, and I did a lot of irreversible damage, and burnt a lot of bridges, hurt a lot of people. So the last 10 years of my professional career has been working in drug and alcohol treatment centers, working with the homeless, working with convicts, reforming back into society. I spent some time actually counseling women, human sex trafficking survivors. I've worked with the handicapped population. So I say that to say, not look at me and look how great I am, is I have a wonderful life. I have a beautiful wife. I have a beautiful daughter. We live fairly comfortably in California. And the reason for that is yes, I work my ass off, but the main reason is because I use the credit card analogy. So I had this credit card and I maxed it the fuck out with all the hurt and everything I did. So I have this debt that I need to pay back, not a financial debt, but a moral debt. So
Yeah.
helping people is how I keep the life, and how I'm able to look at myself in the mirror every morning and not turn away, and know that I'm a good man and that I have a good soul and a good spirit and I'm doing the right thing. And American Reich is just that, propelled to an even greater stance and even greater opportunity. So yeah, I feel fulfilled in this work that I'm doing. And I love the private conversations I have with regular people, members, followers, people with questions. If I could help somebody, I think you said this to me a few minutes before the podcast, but if I could help somebody be better, then I did my fucking job. If I could help this country be better, I did my fucking job.
You know what? And that's what Anthony Arlotta had instilled in me when I was getting, like, in, and this is an individual that, when he stood for me when nobody else would. The same thing, like, same with Jason Vukovic. Like, these are two men that went above and beyond when I doubted myself. But Anthony specifically never let me ever give up on me when I slowed down. He knew I was, dealing in very dark situations. I was talking with serial killers. He always checked in and be like, you're doing the right thing. He always, his goal is always about, like, and you're talking about somebody that went from, you know, he became like a very powerful member of the mob, to go to prison, to come out, to rebuild. He came out of prison with nothing, and he's built such a successful thing on helping others. Um, and he's in the chat right now. Like, but that's what he's instilled in me, and that lesson he taught me about always unlock the best in somebody. Positive energy, it returns to you.
Mhm.
Whatever you put out there, and sometimes it feels like an uphill task. You know what I mean? When you're trying to be positive and try to be there, and the world's just so fucking dark. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
that's why it's important that, connecting with these communities and bringing them together. This is why it is absolutely fundamental because what this conversation shows, there probably going to be a lot of people that'll find it afterwards. They're going to be like, oh, yeah, right, blah, blah, blah. They're going to fucking roll in here with an attitude. And then they're going to hear two guys that may not agree on everything together. But the thing is that what we do have are common ground arguments that bring people to the center. You know,
Mhm.
um,
I don't like to agree on everything anyways. I think it's boring.
well, it
I
doesn't,
think
it's
if we
not, it's not productive. You
Yeah, I
know,
know. I like to have disagreements, and I like I'm a very realistic guy. If you bring enough facts to the table of a stance that I'm on to change my mind for the if you're like, "Hey, actually, I know you look at this one way, but here's the facts about why it's this way. What do you think now?" You may change my mind. I don't have too much ego and too much pride to change my mind. Like, that's okay. Change my mind if it's going to be for the greater good.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. And and that's why I think what's important is so in this thing, for the people that are on the, that are so forced into their tribes, you come to like we're the only ones living life in the middle, and we're just trying to keep it all together and fix things and stuff like that. But in the middle, you can find common ground arguments,
Mhm.
common ground enemies. None of us like drug traffickers. None of us like people dying from poverty, because they can't afford to live. None of us like pedophiles. And for anybody
Yeah,
that any weirdo that might find this, there's no room for you in society. Please, find the exit fast.
I
Um,
agree. Our vet
and
let me throw this in there. Our
yeah, go
just
for it.
for anybody watching this, I'm sure Chris will throw the links to how to get to American Reich and all that, but there's a
It's all
vetting
listed
process.
below.
Okay, there's a vetting process to become a member, and there are a few things where it's like, no, we just can't let you be a part of this organization. But one of the main ones is if there's any kind of sexual crime, just so you know, if you're interested and you have that on your record, go somewhere else. We just don't have room for that. Sorry, it's zero tolerance policy. That's just, like you said, there's no room for you. Sorry, I just won't risk myself, my any of my members, our children, our family, none of it. Nope. Don't give a shit.
Like in it like I see a friend of mine, Dre from he's from JD Delays. He's one of the mods from JD Delays crowd. He said, "I'm willing to show them to the wood chippers." Absolutely, um, but it is so important that we become strong enough to shield them from shield the ones that can't fight from themselves from the evils in this world. And
Yeah.
and it, we have it sold ourselves to the devil, not us particularly,
Mhm.
but the powers that be have, and I firmly believe that.
I mean, it's evident. Look what's how I want to be careful. I don't want to open this door, but I wasn't I just can't wrap I don't understand nuclear rocket science, and I'm not a brain surgeon because I can't comprehend I'm not able to comprehend that level of complexity. And I'm using this as an analogy, but the same for people who do the kind of shit that we've seen the Epstein list come out to children. I can't wrap I can't wrap my head around how that's even possible. How like I just blows my fucking mind, dude, and it makes me very sad and disgusted. And I'm gonna throw a tangent, so I'm gonna stop.
Yeah, no, but
It's just I'll get upset.
April 1st, and I'm glad you brought it up. April 1st will be the No More Mercy Live. It's going to spearhead the Child Abuse Awareness Month. And I
Mm,
fucking hate Abuse Awareness Month. So it seems kind of irrelevant. Oh, we can only put this in 1 month. Just be aware of it. It happens. Let's move on. But it's going to be April 1st will be the greatest collection of survivors, advocates, um, and we're going to have some survivors of the elite hunting parties that will be featured up on here that are willing to that are brave enough to tell their stories. But No More
nice.
Mercy starts that, and we're gonna really dig into the satanic cults that have been running this planet like for thousands of years. You think Jeffrey Epstein? This stuff goes back for centuries. There's been a million of them, but it needs to stop, and
I
it
agree with
needs
you.
and So, what is next for the American Reich? What's next for you? Where do you see yourself in the future with this?
Well, what's next immediately is April 18th at the 155th annual NRA gun show in Houston, Texas, is actually the American Reich's first sanctioned meetup, and there's people from all over the country flying out there for American Reich, flying out there for the NRA gun show. Wick, my national security director, is kind of heading the booth, but I'm going to be out there. Rick, my um, chief of staff, is going to be out there. So that's what's happening immediately. Is we're having our first big American Reich hoedown, as they say. So I'm excited for that. And long term, like shorter long term, is we're rolling out outreach programs, so people from all over the country that are part of the American Right can start helping the community and from a local and to grow out. But homeless veterans, drug addicts, anybody in need, people that are hungry that can't feed themselves, people that are just on the street. So we're going to go out there as a strong force and start helping the local communities all through the nation the best we can. We have leaflets and pamphlets so we can kind of spread the word more and just get more Americans involved. Because, like you said, the right, a lot of people are like, I don't know about the right. And a lot of people are like, well, obviously, I don't know about the left. And they're kind of finding a hard time. They are having a hard time finding a home. So American Right wants to provide a home for individuals that don't know which way to turn right now. So, and then we have a 2-year plan to start helping our members with financial loans for housing. That's like I said, a 2-year plan that's further out there. I have a couple more podcasts coming up, some more exposure. So just to spread the word, spread the message. I want to march 40, 50,000 strong down Pennsylvania Avenue next year around this time and just say, here we are. We are a community of Americans for Americans who put America first. And this isn't a fucking selling shirts and hats club like I get a lot of the fucking times. We are the real fucking deal.
So
That's
I'll
what's
make
coming
a
up.
right here in front of everybody. Like, the Roll Bones family will be there. We're gonna ride with you. If that's the goal, you know, we're gonna do everything and anything and everything to support what you're building here and the
Mhm.
amazing people that you surround yourself with and that are also building this diligently. I haven't talked with Wick just yet, necessarily. We've collabed on stuff, but I do follow his content. He's a great guy as well. You can just see it. Um,
Wick is one
but
of the
if we're gonna
best Wick is one of the best human beings I've ever met. He is this big, burly guy with a huge beard and looks scary and knows how to use every gun and take it apart and put it back together and shoot you before you blink. And he's the sweetest guy. Sorry, Wick, if I blew your cover, but he's just a good human being.
I
Good
saw
man.
him come in, so he's in here. But you know what the thing is like, he's proof that a great beard comes with great responsibility.
Yeah, I
Um,
love Wick.
yeah, it's like,
Honored, honored to have Wick.
we got to get you with a beard too. Like, beards, they command respect. Like, but all jokes aside, I want you to shamelessly plug away anything, everything. Like, because I know how is this financed? Like, what are your, like, is it crowdfunded or is it through donations, private sector? Like, how do you make this?
Right,
How is this possible for you?
right now, all of our financial means comes from our merch, people buying the hats and shirts, and we do have some cool shit. And American Reich is a pretty cool fucking brand. It's a cool name. So the merch side, and membership. It's a small one-time membership fee that people pay, and they get access to secure private platforms. And there's an array of things that the members get, and I don't want to put it all out there because I want people to kind of check out the website and kind of read on it, right? Um, but yeah, we're fully self-supporting through our own contributions. I don't get any donations from anybody, and that doesn't mean that won't change as we grow and more responsibilities fall on the cabinet's lap. We're going to need money, but again, and it's the little things like American Reich is a business as well. It's a licensed business in the state of California that I own, and I own the rights to the name. It's trademarked. So there's fees for that. I live in California. There's California taxes, there's federal taxes, all the merch is taxed. I made a joke the other day on a reel, but it's kind of true. It's like after all the pieces of the pie get sliced for what's taken away from the merchandise side of things, I feel like sometimes I owe money on every fucking shirt and hat
Oh yeah,
everybody
man.
buys.
Like you used the pie analogy. Like so,
Yeah.
me and Ant, we joke about it sometimes, but it's like after the IRS comes in and everybody else takes their end, it's just like, they take their piece of the pie. All you're left with is the empty pan. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? A few crumbs in there, but
Yeah.
um,
There's enough I'll be honest. There's enough crumbs, and sometimes if we're having a good couple weeks, there's enough little pieces of the pie to put back in the organization to roll out what we need to roll out. It's paying for Texas. I mean, it's it's paying for the Facebook thing I told you about, Vanguard, the American Reich. It's paying all the little subscriptions I have to keep the
yep,
fucking shit from sinking. We have the world's best CRM system to run our organization and business through, and that costs a monthly fine. Like there's a lot of money being spent just to keep the ship from sinking,
yes,
to be honest with you.
and that's the road. In like from the business side of it, that's the hard road of self employment. Like when
Hmm.
you're digging in, it's a hard road of pain. But if you believe in what you're doing, you know what I mean. If and especially with what you're doing, you're aiming every day to help somebody or brighten someone's day, save a life. It's going to come back to you. Like I had said before, positive. You manifest positivity outward, it comes back to you 10 times over. And
Yeah.
I firmly believe that the American Reich is going to be a force to be reckoned with within the next by the end of the summer, because I have a feeling the summer is going to be ridiculous, like with liberals.
Yeah. And as this thing is so special to me because, like I said, American Reich is the people, and every man dies, but his deeds may last forever if they're good enough. And that's really the end goal is if I died, like knock on wood somewhere, but if I died a month from now, my hope would be that the vision that I have for American Reich and the positive to unite Americans, if that lived on, then my work here is done and it wasn't all for nothing. And as a man, I made my mark. That's what I want. I want this idea to live through the American people and to unite and to remove the division line and stop fucking fighting each other and come together so we can fight who we really need to fight because it's not each other.
I have somebody right here. I'm gonna post a couple question up here, but this one I think is important for you. It says, "How can I help support or donate to the American Reich? We're in this together."
Like I said, right now, buying merchandise helps only because all the merchandise proceeds after the pie is cut 50 times and that crumb is left in the pan, it goes back into the organization. Sign
Yeah,
up for membership, post and share content, talk about it. Joining as a member is the best way. Not even merchandise. Forget the merchandise for a second. Let me re-answer that question. Merchandise helps because it funds the organization. It helps fund the organization, but signing up for membership is probably the best because that's where you're really going to get the the juice on how we run this thing and what's really going on. And you're going to have access to help spread the American Reich. You're going to have access to leaflets and pamphlets you can hand out. You're going to have access to other people locally to you from wherever state you are. You're going to have access to network with other American Reich people, followers, and members, and ones that hold this ideology close to their heart. And you can unite, you can build community. That's my real answer. I would say is yeah, you can buy some merch and the merch is good. It's good quality. It's fucking cool, and the money goes back in the organization. But if you really want to give back through the American Reich, join up and be a member and start doing what the fucking members do, which is spread this shit like wildfire. And they all do it, and they're down, and I love them.
yeah, man. And it's like everything is shifting in this country. It's going to start here. And a dear friend of mine, she's such a sweetie. Um, Gina, I love you, honey. She says, "I'm in California like you. Anything I may help with." She's such a sweet person too. I love you, honey.
Um, that is actually one of the problems that I have is so many people wanting to help without enough responsibility to hand out so they could actually help. I have too much people wanting to help and not enough tasks to give out. I would say to private message me on Instagram, founder_AR, private message me, and I could definitely think of something for you to do that could help.
Gina, I'll make sure I take care of that. DM me after the live. Now
I'm
for
very
the
approachable. I'm very approachable, by
he
the way.
is he is.
So message me anytime.
You know what? In to the parts that I'm going to shamelessly plug away for a second. We have
Go ahead.
we have some people that we I want to throw some love to my brother Billy Granfield. He runs a crane operating business, tree cutting business out of Springfield, Mass. If you need any help with that, please DM me, and I'll get you in touch with Billy. On the bottom is all of the people we're affiliated: Frontline Healing Foundation, the Alaskan Avenger Official, American Reich, Anthony Arlotta Official.com, and the GoFundMe to Leave No Warrior Behind for Sergeant Cody Bowden. We are going to stand for everybody we support. So now with the Alaskan Avenger, the man that literally goes to war with these fucking piece of shit child predators, go over and sub to the Alaskan Avenger. He's almost at 100,000. Go over to the AlaskanAvengerOfficial.com. You can find everything you need as far as information, resources, access to the National Center for Exploited and Missing Kids, the Guardian program. We have connections to all of them. But support my big brother, because he's been diligently at handling the business with this fight. My brother Cody Bowden, all Roll the Bones merchandise, and anybody that may need some t-shirts, DM me and we get you set up with him, and his wife are starting their own business. And Cody is, we want to keep things made in America. We want to give jobs and we want to give opportunities to people in this country. Keith Shibley, Frontline, who turned us on to Frontline Healing Foundation. Go find him over at Mind Over Madness Official. But me and Anthony Arlotta, my brother. It's like the official drink of choice of the Roll the Bones podcast is the Patso Signature Blend, which is made in Maryland. It's made in America. It tastes like America, and you don't get a headache from it. And the other thing is me and Ant are involved. We have a legitimate lender. We can do up to $100 million in commercial real estate investment. He's a legitimate, wants to invest in the infrastructure of America and get us. There's a lot of people. Don't go with the Jewish banks. Go with our guy. I really appreciate you taking the opportunity and the chance with us. We're not a huge platform. We're just getting started. But
man, if there was 10 people here, I would have done it. If you had 10 followers, I would have said yes. If you had 10 million, I would have said yes. Doesn't matter. I want to support you. I know what you're about. A lot of respect for you. And I want to throw you a little shout out. Everybody over here on American Reich, please do me a favor and reshare Roll the Bones, because as you can see, Chris is one of us, and all that's going to do is help get the message out and spread the truth and what we're for and what we're not for. And his views and our views are pretty much neck and neck. So please do us a favor from the American Reich side and share the shit out of Roll the Bones podcast, please.
You know what's fun is we were both nervous. Even though we knew we were gonna have a great conversation. I'm not a they them. I can I'm not gonna argue with them over whether or not I'm a lizard. I'm definitely not a lizard. We know we don't like lizards over here. It's but this is what America is about. Conversation, building towards something better. And we have been denied so much from greedy, pedophile piece of shit. And I'm going to throw one more fuck you at Ellen DeGeneres. Enjoy your award and enjoy your satanic whatever the fuck it is where you celebrate each other. But
weirdo shit.
Oh, dude, just complete weirdo stuff. It's going to be
I told my wife right before, I said, honey, why am I so nervous? Like I do reels and I talk to people all the time. Like, why am I so nervous? She's like, it's because you care so much about the American Reich. That's why you're nervous. I'm like, oh
Listen,
yeah, that
not to throw it, not to put this out there because I know we talked about private. Like when you sent me that shit, I was legitimately sitting right here. I was looking over at my wife. I was talking about it. Um, and like I was like, damn, like I've done a lot of these. I've talked to serial killers. I eat dinner with killers all the time. Like and I was like, why the fuck is this going got me nervous? You know what I mean?
because it fucking
And
matters. This is important. That's
it
why.
is, and like I was a little nervous. I'm still like, I mean, but there's a beautiful community. This exposes not exposes not really, but brings out all the good in this world. And
Hmm.
it makes you not feel so much alone. Like I see a friend of mine, Guar. Guar is in here. He's been a ride or die for this platform for a long time. I love you, buddy. Um, you know, I know we didn't acknowledge so much. Oh God, don't get me started on Abramovich. Oh my God, coming in April 1st, and I'll give you 6 more witches, and we'll burn them all at the stake. That's how we do it in New England. Um, but no, I really appreciate you, Chris. And you know what? This is proof. Chris is a powerful name.
Yeah, it is.
How does your wife feel about like the movement you built?
At first, she was hesitant and she wasn't sure. And when she saw my Instagram blowing up, she was a little hesitant. Like, why is my husband getting so much attention? But when I really broke it down to her and showed her what are about, my wife is the vice president of American Reich. She is the vice president. She's we call her the first lady. She handles all the finances and she helps me make decisions where I'm like, I don't know if I should go, this way or this way on this. And she catches a lot of things that I miss, like, hey, like the little things. Like, hey, did you file that document? Like, oh shit, no. So she's been great. She supports me 100%. Again, I couldn't do this without my team. I don't know why I forgot to mention when I was acknowledging the team, my wife. Yeah, my wife is my backbone. She's the one where we're in bed and I question, I'm a human being. Like, am I doing the right thing? She's there to remind me that yes, the fuck you are. And we are
You know
here
what?
we are here.
I asked my wife the same question. There was a point when I was interviewing a lot of serial killers, asking them
Mhm.
questions, and I've interviewed BTK. I've interviewed, but I've talked to BTK. I've talked to the Happy Face Killer. I've talked to Son of Sam. And I started questioning the morality behind it. And is this the right thing to do? And I remember I asked that to my wife, to Trev, to Jason, to Ant, and it's necessary. But sometimes it's important to have a good woman behind you because the thing is this is we're very much in a war, and the reason I chose the serial killers is to bookend both sides of the spectrum. You can't understand people that do absolute good, like Ant or Jason or yourself, without talking to the other side, which is complete evil. I just won't talk to a pedophile. Fuck you.
Yeah,
Like, but
I don't
uh,
I agree with you.
but the
Oh,
thing is like you have built something so beautiful, and I see this going very far, and I see this is just going to grow. It's going to reach more people, and what I took from this, just even talking to you privately, is I feel less alone because, like I said, like I only got introduced to this about a week ago. I heard
mhm.
my wife talking about it, so I had a lot of education to do and get dialed in. And thankfully, you've been very forthcoming, even in side messages and stuff like that. But I'm very proud of what you're doing. I'm proud of you. Well, congratulations again for
Thank you.
being conquering and your addictions and being sober for 10 years. You're a good man, you're a good father and a good husband, and you're leading the path to helping bring this country back to what the fuck we need. So never lose sight on that.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And like, two things. I don't want to forget to acknowledge some of the administrative staff, Rachel. Mike, Wyote, Tristan. If I forget anybody, I'm so sorry. It wasn't on purpose. And I want to quote Cesar Chavez. If you can get enough Americans to stop doing one thing or start doing one thing, you can change the social climate forever and it can never be reversed. So that's what I hope to do with the American Reich.
Dude, I feel very blessed for this conversation. I feel very blessed for everybody that's here. And you know what, Keith? Stop telling me to buy my wife a goat. Stay out of my finances, homie. You know what? Because that he encourages her to expand the farm. We'll get to the goats when we're ready. Calm down. And just because you're a cop, you can't arrest me for that. You're off duty. Oh God! Now your community. Wick is over here telling the buyer too. It's like, all right. So now I'm on the spot. But no. If there's anything that we can do with the boneyard, if I can get you in touch with any connections of mine, it's done.
Okay, appreciate that. I highly suggest just throwing it out there is Wick would be a good person to come on here, not only to back the American Right, because I know he will. He can't help himself, and I love him for that. But he has a plethora of knowledge about survival, about about prepping yourself, about medical necessity, just how to be a prepared American in this day and age. So just throwing it out there that Wick would be a good guest to have, and I would 100% advocate for him.
Wick, I'll be in touch. And is there anything I'd like to give you, if there's anything, because there's a lot of both communities here represented. Is there anything that you would like to say before we close it out?
Me or Wick?
No, you. Like, you.
I'm like, is Wick typing?
Yeah, no.
In closing, thank you so much for this opportunity and the respect you've given me since day one. And Trev, I know he's out handling some stuff, but both of you have just been sweethearts, basically. Like in the most manly way I could say that. You guys have been true gentlemen and have made this a enjoyable experience. I hope that you and I coming together could at least have reached one more person to say, hey, you know what? Maybe this thing is for the greater good, and I want to be a part of it as well. I appreciate your time. If there's anything we can do on our end to support you, I'm a phone call away. You have my number. I got you, man, 100%. I am a firm believer. If you help me, I'm going to help you. There's no other way to do it.
This is a family, and I'm going to speak directly to, ones that in the boneyard, they already know what. We're not buying Highland cows either. Bowden, knock it off. Like, you're these people, they're trying to encourage my wife to buy more farm animals. But this is a family, and we ride very hard and deep for each other, and we're going to do the same for you. But I'm going to close this out.
All right.
Remember, we can do up to 100 million in commercial real estate investments. You can find the American Reich, all of Chris's socials right down below. Kayla, share that link one more time for Chris. And
is she sharing the founder one?
She's sharing the official website, but all the other ones, at least on the YouTube side, everything is over down below. Facebook would only let me share like 3 links.
That's okay.
But
just making sure it's the right one. I can't see on my screen.
Members of the American Reich, and new faces that have joined even the Boneyard family, or and members of the Boneyard, I encourage you to go over to really listen to what Chris and Wick and the other members. Chris puts in so much work. The whole team puts in so much work. This is just the beginning of the fight we're up against, and it's going to take a lot of work. It starts in the community, but I love all of you. So it's time that we all fucking stand and deliver. So as I've said, ride for something or absolutely die for nothing in this life. Catch you in the next one.